Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first unit of impeccable wisdom. We are going to talk about NERNST equation and the question which is raised, why the log of minus 61 is used in NERNST equation. Now, prime objective of my life and everybody's life is a perfect physical health, free from diseases, perfect emotional stability, wealth, wisdom, right education, and abundance of everything good for the self, good for the world, so that we can lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy life of need-based concepts, not unwanted lifestyle, which comes with many things which are not all required. The reason for our we attain to objective of life because we do not have the knowledge, we don't have the idea to earn, ignorance and inertia, and lack of everything is responsible. We need to correct that, and that is exactly the objective of my videos in Akhand Vidyashram. Now come to the question of this particular thing is Ganit Vidya, and that is the divine mathematics which I am talking about, which is a perfect one. Let's restart our education, research as such with Devyank, and find a uniform knowledge which cannot found to be defected by anybody. This can answer every question completely, effectively, efficiently, without any ambiguity or fault whatsoever. Now to come to the human cell. We are talking about human beings. So first thing, divine design of the human cell, I have already discussed. Please go and read that again. Now come to the question. Human cells are a bunch of atom, element, molecules and compounds. This is the knowledge which is there in Rig Veda. And once you understand how atomic structure, element, molecule, compounds work, or how in subatomic particles like proton, neutrons, electrons, and quarks and singulars work, then only nanotechnology is understood. Next, only we can be a perfect human being. That is one part. Second thing, there are 100 trillion cells and they form tissues. Tissues form organs. Organs form 10 organs. Everything is with according to Devyank. That's it. Now come to the human cell. There are 200 different types, and now I have made it very clear they are reproducing living cells which multiply further. There are also non-reproducible functional cells like neuron cells and red blood cells. As such, I have already explained. Then you have excitable action potential cells and non-excitable local potential. You are going to see them as we move on. Now neuron cells, I have made it very clear there is a structural unit of the nervous system. There are about 100 billion and 20,000 memory synapses can be made, and neuron is made of 10 parts. I have already explained, and that the different parts we understand. See the same Devyank applied everywhere. You see in RBC, you see in neuron, and you see the beauty as we move on. Now the amazing neuron cells as well. This is a structural and functional unit of the sensory evaluation motor component of the integrated nervous system. Is the definition which should be all inclusive, not sectarian, which are found in the books which we are giving. We should not take even a school student and give him wrong information. We can give the perfect information from the very beginning itself. By the time the student is 8-10 years, the person will be able to understand. Give them the complete information, slow and steady. Let them take the time. But let us not give an wrong information which is very difficult to eliminate at a later date. Unlearning and relearning is very, very difficult. And let us be responsible in understanding neuron cells, how they use the electrical inside, outside, and how they do, and that is something which I have given, and that is human beings can do wonderfully very well. Now NERNST equation, let's understand the definition. NERNST equation is a formula used in electrochemistry to calculate the cell potential or voltage of an electrochemical cell under non-standard condition. This is the definition of NERNST equation. It relates to cell membrane potential to the standard cell potential, temperature and reaction quotient. The general formula NERNST equation is shown in the following page. Now, this is the formula to find electropotential. Let me also make it very clear. Temperature is defined, time is defined, everything is defined. Once we have the perfect, then we have knowledge, and only then we can understand the concept very clearly. We need to bring one perfect knowledge, and this is one thing which is used effectively for calculating potential, and which is going to make us how effective we are in our understanding, function, decisions, and making a life good for ourselves and good for the world. Now look at the few terminology which I want everybody to understand. When I say in this particular thing is a resting membrane potential, which is important. That means there's a potential charge when there is no action at all. So if that is something which is understood, then you know resting membran is in a calm and quiet stage. When there is no action, there is no stimulus. Then when the stimulus is applied, then the two sides of reaction come up. Whether you have a threshold value which takes into action potential, or something which is a local potential, which is I'm talking about. Polarization is both the things are two separate. Resting is thing. First we get to polarized state, and then depolarization, and then how hyperpolarization, and these are the terms which I want everybody to understand. Once you understand, then electrochemistry can be understood. Without a proper definition of these things, understanding equilibrium potential or NERNST equation is not at all easy. And I want every information to be well defined without even single deficiency, and the result should be impeccable wisdom. These are pictures. Now I have put the resting membrane potential of different cells. In this particular picture, I have put a skeletal muscle cell. In this it shows minus 90, and there is 92, and I would call it 93 to be a perfect one. Why do I call 93? You are going to see in mean arterial blood pressure, which is 93. That means diastolic pressure plus 61.8% of the diastolic pressure put together of the thing which calculated mean arterial pressure. Let's not go to that detail at this juncture. When we come to that stage, I would explain. Then neuron is minus 70. I have no issues with this. Smooth muscle cells is minus 60. I have no problem. Photoreceptor cells in the eyes is minus 40. That's it. Erythrocytes do not have action potential. They are non-excitable. That is what I said. They are non-excitable. Chondrocytes are not excitable. Where skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, neurons, and these are absolutely essential. And from that we are going to understand the NERNST equation, how we can have a perfect knowledge for every student, researcher, and the author in the world. Now come to the formulas which are used. You can see the equilibrium potential EK 61.5 into log 10 K 0, K inside and 1, and this is the one, upper one is for K mean potassium, and O mean inside the cell, and in I is inside, O is outside, and log of 10 is again Deviank, and 61 is the number, and based on they have calculated 92, and I know it should be 61.8034. As a result, it could be minus 93. That's what I meant. And minus 93 is perfect because this is designed for 61. 61.803484 would have been 93. And this is a perfect, and same thing is in mean arterial blood pressure too. And then second formula is 61 log potassium outside plus potassium sodium outside divided by sodium inside and potassium inside put together. That formula is also give you the same issue. I think that is also something which I want to explain as I move on. Sodium is electromagnetic thing outside the cell, and potassium is inside the cell, and their ratio has to have a perfect equilibrium inside and outside, perfect around the cell membrane. Only then you can be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. That's what is very important, to be a perfectly healthy person also. So that thing should be understood very clearly. Now come to the question. As I've been saying, the modern research work has been done. So initially started with 61, and I'm glad some of the research scholars have increased the power from 61, and in this particular issue it has been to 61.54 millivolts. Again, That is it. That means from 61 it is gone to more. But I know 61.8034 will be much better than outside, and log of 10, ions inside and outside also make a difference. That's it. Now I'm coming to make a point why 61 has been used. Unfortunately, that knowledge is not available, and I make it very clear it is the water content. According to Deviank, the water content is 61.8034 and solid content is 38.1966%. That is the perfect value. That is what Deviank gives it. So this value should have been 6180 because you are talking of the solution, and solution only in sodium and potassium, inside potassium, outside sodium, is in a solution of water content only, and water is the most useful solvent in the world. It's the first thing, and it is amrit, and it's a nectar, and that's what again I'm making it very clear. Once that is understood, then we'll know it is a water content which is required, and that's how it should be. So now I understand that is a percentage of water, and that should have been taught to everybody. This is only because of water content, not otherwise. That water content should be perfect, only you will have a perfect value of sodium and potassium. Hyponatremia can be bad. So you need to have a perfect sodium concentration. We are going to talk about sodium and this thing as we go to action potential, how Divyank decides to resolve that also one by one. This is spiritual applied science, which I am going to talk about it as we move on. So I think we are building up a knowledge for the new research with a clear idea of giving the knowledge which is as on today's research, because I am also a medical doctor and also a mathematician. I have also understand physics, chemistry. I've done excelled in all the sciences, but everywhere I found there's a defect. I had to change it and good. As a result, my academy records are exemplary from school, college, university till today, because I have gone and answering those questions from school, college, university till date. It's unfortunate nobody took me seriously and they call me only exemplary and leave it at. Doesn't matter. But time has come now, the world should benefit, because I've come to that stage of Divyang from 2015. Now this knowledge is for the world in uniform, because today's language can be reached by everybody without spending money. Now come to the question. I'm again saying, why does the log 61, as I told you in the book, nobody discusses about the meaning of log 61. My perception is represent water solution again. Log of 60 is the right answer because that's the concentration of water in a perfect solution. Not less, not more. And that is applicable to sodium, potassium and other electrolytes, atom, other thing. So only that solution will be perfect. That's why you log to use only that much. This can give a perfect RMP, as I told you. With 61 they come to 92. With 61.803 you will come to minus 93. That's it. Now I'm explaining the concept little nutshell form in this particular thing. NERNST equation, equilibrium potential, resting membrane potential. The combined action potential of the transport of ions across the cell membrane in a resting cell results in a state of equilibrium. It maintains osmolarity and prevents changes in cell volume. In the resting state, the electrical charge inside the cell is negative, electric charge outside cell is positive. This is calculated by using the formula in NERNST equation, and that is what polarity I am talking about. Inside is a negative, outside is a positive, and that is the ratio which I am talking about. This is the formula which is used. Uses log of sign and should be this. I have made it clear, and that's how sodium goes inside and potassium comes out, and how ATP works in the secondary transport system. Log represent ideal percentage of the water of the solution inside the cell and outside the cell, which is important. The research scientists and authors do not describe this fact. That's a log of 61.8. We can get the perfect, and that is exactly my point is. Again and again I am making it clear that nature design of Divyank of 22 by 21, you are going to see more in sodium and potassium concentration exchange itself, and also 10 stages everywhere, and then the ratio of length, breadth, every answer is there in Divyank alone, and that symbol alone. Only with that symbol we'll have the perfect, we'll rectify all the defects which we have and move on to the level which is unheard of. But at this juncture, let me also tell you, each neuron cell can carry information from sensory to the inside for evaluation and outside. And only then, when you understand you are in a calm and quiet state of equilibrium potential with the resting membrane in charge and outside is perfect, that is a resting state which will give you calm and quiet, and you will have no problem with homeostasis. And that is what I said. When you have 6 parts a reptilian brain, they function according to this with Divyank. That person will never fall sick, will be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. He will be able to remember each and everything clearly because everything is a very calm and quiet state, and that is what Akhand Yoga is all about. Samadhi is the even state of the mind, come what may, no disturbances whatsoever. You are neither in excitable nor this. You are in self-aware state. And that's what I make one thing very, very clear here. I am not a Democrat because majority opinion need not necessarily be right. I am not a diplomat because by trying to say people for making them happy when they are defective is not my cup of tea. So it can be brutal, but it is required because that's the only thing we can rectify. We have to rectify things with impeccable wisdom, not try to, this could all be this way, this is all information which is normally given in diplomatic state. No way. Cut and dry. And I'm not a dictator. I'm not telling anybody to do it because it is your life. You have to, if you are convinced with it, use it and move on. If you don't want to use it, continue doing whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm using it for myself because I'm not Democrat, I'm not a diplomat, I'm not a dictator, but I'm an autocrat. I've learned this for myself, and that's the reason I keep away and enjoying it and sharing with love of it. People who are in tune with it, fine. People who are not in tune with, doesn't really matter to me. I have enjoyed it, I'm sharing it. Medium is available, nobody asked me question, I answered in Quora, I answered in YouTube, I leave it as it is, and now it's world to benefit. If they want perfection, look up. If they don't want perfection, it doesn't really matter. And that exactly we need to approach for a new researcher. He should be truthful, honest to do things for the self first. Again, in my research, I made it very clear. Unless until you become the subject, evaluate yourselves. Only then you will have impeccable wisdom. If you are going to be a researcher and doing things on somebody else without a personal experience, that research has no meaning at all. And I make it very, very clear, all the research should be done by a person who experiences himself, and then impeccable wisdom can come. If it's going to be subject somewhere else and you are not to be a part because you are concerned, that is because the biased people, not truthful, honest people like me, would never do that because we only experience inside and then find how the results are. That is where I am saying very clearly the results which I have got from myself are perfect because today's medium of equipment is fantastic. But we should know how to use them efficiently. I used my EEG with the power spectrum analysis to produce that I can produce 8 Hz frequency throughout the brain with eyes open for the first time in the world. I'm the only one who's able to give this world because I'm moving with the truth without any bias, only good for myself or not for anybody else. And this has helped me to lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy life to today. And that's what I want to share. If the people are happy, fine. If they're not happy, doesn't really matter. Because good things come only for the people who are truthful, honest. Satya meva jayate. Satya is Sundram. Satya is beautiful, and that is what is required for the world. No untruth, no violence, no negativity, no bias is going to help anybody for the self as well as other. And that is the message which I am giving it. And with that concentration, I make it very clear. It's up to you to wake up and become perfect yourself. Only then you can expect the perfection. You cannot expect perfection from outside without being perfect yourself. And that's my image. Now coming to the last stage, everything which I have experienced A to Z from my childhood till today is this one package, which is ancient Indian wisdom, Vedas, Upanishads and scriptures of Sanskrit in nature. I'm talking about Sanskrit scriptures. I'm not talking of any other language. Make it very clear, because empirical divine wisdom is only in those Sanskrit documents of Ved, Upanishad and scriptures, which I have revealed one by one. They are the one which have helped me, and let's we leave it at that. Let's not raise a question, and what's the beauty of that? And that has brought me to this level, and I think I make it very clear. If you want to change yourself, you follow these things. If you don't want to change, it doesn't really matter. World is going to see it's available for the seekers, not for someone who's not seeking. That's the beauty of spirituality. Seeker will get it, non-seeker will never get it. Person who has a faith in divinity would get it. Person who has no faith will not get it. Person who is truthful, honest, non-violent, pure, and free from anything which comes in the way of their sensitivity. And that is where I talk about it. Equilibrium potential is important for you to be perfect. Only in that stage you can experience the homeostatic state. Any other thing, whether it's in the drugs, alcohol, other thing, is going to disturb the equilibrium. You can never be perfect. And I'm glad I'm a pure vegetarian. I do not drink, I don't smoke, I don't take medicine, I don't take anything. I take good thing, only what is essential, which my body requires. My body itself tells me what I should eat and what I should not eat. My body gives me whether it's right or wrong. I don't need or depend on other things, but I do every 6 months to see whether I'm improving in my health stage by stage. Once every person does that, they become their own doctor in the process. Only then equilibrium potential will be understood, homeostasis will be done, and done with it. And you call it scripture, you call it ritual, you call it whatever, doesn't really matter. I'm sharing it because I've enjoyed it, I'm leaving it. Thank you very much.